Somewhere right now, a building the size of a Walmart is quietly printing money. No customers walk in, no products ship out. There are no storefronts, no ads, no brand you've ever seen on a shelf. Just rows of servers humming in the dark, absorbing electricity, exhaling heat, and generating more revenue per square foot than almost any other building on Earth. That building is a data center. And if you've ever wondered how one actually works as a business, buckle up, because it is nothing like what it looks like from the outside. It looks like a tech business. Servers, fiber cables, cooling systems, biometric scanners, backup generators, engineers with laptops, enough blinking lights to make the building feel like it runs the internet. But strip away the aesthetics and the actual business is ancient. You are selling electricity, real estate, temperature control, and trust. That's it. A customer doesn't lease space in your data center because the building is beautiful. They lease space because they need their computers to never, ever turn off. Not during a storm, not during a heat wave, not when the grid fails, a transformer blows, or a contractor accidentally cuts a fiber line outside. The product is uptime, and uptime is brutally expensive. By the end of this video, you'll understand why data centers are becoming some of the most valuable real estate assets on Earth. Why AI has turned power into the new oil. Why the building itself is sometimes the cheapest part of the whole operation. And why a data center with no electricity contract is basically a billion-dollar warehouse with really good air conditioning. Let's start with what it costs to get in. Data centers come in three sizes, and they're not really the same business. A small enterprise data center, the kind a hospital, university, or regional company might run for itself, could be 1 to 5 megawatts. That might cost tens of millions of dollars. A serious co-location facility, where companies rent cages, racks, or entire halls, might be 10 to 30 megawatts, usually a few $100 million. Then there's the hyperscale world, the AI campus, the cloud factory, the 100-megawatt monster in the middle of nowhere with its own substation, water system, battery storage, and backup generators. Enough power demand to make the local utility genuinely nervous. That's where the numbers stop sounding like real estate and start sounding like national infrastructure. In 2026, the average global cost to build a data center is around $11.3 million per megawatt. So, a 30-megawatt facility isn't a $30 million project. It's more like $300 to $400 million before the most expensive equipment even shows up. A 100-megawatt campus can easily become a billion-dollar project. And that's just the shell. The power systems, cooling, generators, substations, security, fire suppression, concrete, and steel. If you're also buying the AI hardware that goes inside it, the math gets ridiculous. The technology fit-out for AI infrastructure can run as high as $25 million per megawatt. That means the servers, GPUs, networking gear, and racks inside a 100-megawatt AI data center could cost $2.5 billion by themselves. The building is the box, the chips are the treasure, and the power is the key that makes any of it useful. Here's the first thing most people get wrong. They think the hard part is finding land. It's not. Land is easy, land is everywhere. What you actually need is land with power, fiber, zoning approval, tax incentives, water access, community support, low disaster risk, and a utility company willing to sell you more electricity than a small city uses. That list is much shorter. A normal warehouse can be built almost anywhere near a highway. A data center has to be built where the grid can handle it. That's why Northern Virginia became the data center capital of the world. Not because it's pretty, not because the land is cheap, because it had fiber networks, internet exchanges, government and enterprise customers, business-friendly rules, and enough power infrastructure to support explosive growth. For years, that was enough. Now even those markets are hitting the wall. In major data center hubs, the wait for a grid connection can stretch for years. You can have the land, the tenant, the permits, and the financing, and still find out the utility can't give you power for half a decade. Imagine signing your tenants, ordering your equipment, raising your capital, and then getting told, come back in 5 years. That is the business now. Not finding customers, finding electricity. A data center is measured in megawatts, not square feet. An office landlord says, I have 100,000 square feet. A data center landlord says, I have 30 megawatts. That reframes everything. The value of the building isn't the building. It's how much power the building can deliver to servers without ever failing. In major North American wholesale markets, average asking rates hit around $196 per kilowatt per month in late 2025. 1 megawatt is 1,000 kilowatts. So, at that rate, a single megawatt generates $196,000 a month. That's $2.35 million a year from 1 megawatt. A 10 megawatt lease, $23.5 million a year. A fully leased 30 megawatt facility, roughly $70 million a year. That's why investors love this business. Once the data center is built, powered, and signed to a strong tenant, it starts behaving like a toll booth on the internet. And here's the thing about those tenants: they don't leave. Moving out of a data center isn't like moving out of an apartment. You have to migrate workloads, reroute traffic, duplicate systems, manage downtime risk, move physical hardware, rebuild compliance controls, and convince every executive in the room that nothing critical will break. Good data center tenants are sticky, very sticky. In some primary North American markets, vacancy has fallen close to 1%. Nearly everything that exists is already full. And much of what's under construction is already spoken for before the doors open. This is the dream version of the business. It is not the whole story. Because now we need to talk about heat. A data center is essentially a machine for converting electricity into heat. That's what servers do. Consume power, compute, release heat. The more powerful the server, the more heat floods the room. Old data centers were designed around racks drawing 5 to 10 kilowatts. Modern AI racks can run at 80, 100, or more. A normal server rack was a hot refrigerator. An AI rack is closer to an industrial furnace with a login screen. Now put thousands of those in one building. You don't just need power to run the computers. You need more power to remove the heat the computers produce. That's where PUE comes in. Power usage effectiveness. It measures how much total power a facility consumes versus how much actually reaches the IT equipment. A perfect score is 1.0. In the real world, the industry average sits around 1.56, meaning for every 100 megawatts going to servers, the facility might burn through 156 megawatts total. That extra 56 goes to cooling and overhead. World-class operators like Google have pushed their fleet-wide PUE down to around 1.09. That gap isn't a green marketing talking point. It's tens of millions of dollars a year. Every point of efficiency is money you keep. Every watt you don't waste is a watt your competitor can't use against you. The best data center companies don't ask, how do we make the lobby nicer? They ask, how do we remove 100 megawatts of heat without going bankrupt? Now, let's separate two businesses that get constantly confused. Owning the data center building is one business. Owning the servers inside it is another. The first is real estate and infrastructure. Build the facility, secure the power, lease capacity, collect rent. The second is compute. Buy the GPUs, rent them to AI companies, train models, sell cloud services, and hope the chips don't go obsolete before you pay them off. These are radically different risk profiles. A traditional data center landlord signs a long-term lease with a creditworthy tenant and lets the tenant worry about the hardware. An AI compute operator buys billions of dollars of equipment that might be state-of-the-art today and second best in 24 months. A building might last 30 years. A GPU cycle might last 3. If you own the building, your enemy is power availability. If you own the chips, your enemy is depreciation. And if you own both, Congratulations, you now operate one of the most capital-intensive businesses ever invented. This is why hyperscalers are untouchable at the top. Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Meta, and Oracle can spend tens of billions on data centers because their balance sheets can absorb the cycle. They sign power agreements, they build campuses, they order chips years in advance. They can survive mistakes that would kill a smaller operator. The independent operator has to find a niche. Local compliance, edge deployments for low-latency applications, a regional colo with strong fiber routes, a converted industrial site with cheap power, something Microsoft isn't paying attention to. You're not outspending them. You're surviving around them. And here's the second hidden landmine: customer quality. In the old data center world, your dream tenant was a bank, a government contractor, a healthcare company, or a major cloud provider. Boring, stable, regulated, not going anywhere. Then the AI boom sent a new kind of tenant through the door: the neocloud. These are companies that raise enormous capital, buy GPUs, lease data center capacity, and rent compute to AI startups. Some are real businesses. Some are financing vehicles wrapped in a hoodie and a pitch deck. For the data center owner, the temptation is real. The AI tenant pays a premium. They need power now. They'll sign fast. They're desperate. If that tenant's entire business depends on GPU prices, venture funding, and the assumption that AI compute costs stay high forever, you need to be careful. A 15-year lease is only as strong as the company signing it. A data center leased to Microsoft is infrastructure. A data center leased to a speculative AI startup might be a casino with chillers. Let's run the numbers on what this actually looks like. Scenario 1. A 10-megawatt regional colocation facility. You spend $120 million. Land, power infrastructure, cooling, backup systems, security, startup costs. You lease at roughly $180 per kilowatt per month, generating about $21.6 million in annual revenue. After electricity pass-throughs, staffing, maintenance, taxes, insurance, and reserves, you're looking at $9 to $12 million in operating profit. Not bad. But on a $120 million project, it's not instant wealth. If you use debt, and you did, a significant chunk of that cash flow goes to the lender first. This is the boring version of the business. Boring can be beautiful. Sticky customers, long leases, low vacancy, infrastructure that gets more valuable as power gets harder to find. Scenario 2. A 100-megawatt AI-ready hyperscale campus. You spend $1.1 to $1.5 billion on the building, substation, generators, cooling, and power systems. You lease to a major cloud or AI company at a bulk rate, say $150 per kilowatt per month. At full occupancy, that's $180 million a year in rent. Strong margins could yield $80 to $100 million in annual operating profit before financing. That sounds incredible. But now remember, the construction risk, the utility negotiations, the political fights, the 5-year development timeline, the interest expense, the equipment delays, the possibility your tenant comes back halfway through the build because the next generation of AI racks is denser, hotter, heavier, and completely different from what they told you 2 years ago. This is why data centers make fortunes and destroy balance sheets. Step back far enough, and the whole industry snaps into focus. A data center is not a tech business. It is the physical layer beneath the tech business. Every AI model, every cloud app, every bank transaction, every Netflix stream, every hospital record, every Discord message, every YouTube upload, every search query, everything that feels invisible and weightless online is actually running inside buildings like this. The digital world has a physical address, and that address needs land, power, cooling, fiber, water, security, maintenance, permits, debt, time. The AI boom didn't make data centers important. They were already important. The AI boom just exposed what they really are. They're not server closets. They're power plants with tenants. They're warehouses for heat. They're toll roads for compute. They're the places where the internet stops being an idea and becomes a utility bill. So, if you decide to own one, remember the most important rule. The servers are not the asset. The power is the asset. The building protects it. The cooling preserves it. The tenant monetizes it. And if you control enough of it in the right location, with the right contracts, at the right time, you're not just owning real estate. You're owning a piece of the modern economy's nervous system. Just make sure the lights never go out.